Batman Arkham Origin is an action-adventure game. It is the third release in the series. Its world is a mix of indoor and outdoor open areas. The game uses version 11 of DirectX, but contrary to the last release, the use of tessellation this time is a bit lacking. It is only limited to certain characters and Batman's cape, also the snow covering rooftops and streets. Snow tessellation is really the standout feature among them. It adds volume and thickness to the snow, allowing it to be deformed and influenced by the impact of people's footsteps and other objects. The effect is extremely cool. The rest of the objects in the game suffer greatly from low polygon count and appear rough and polygonal. Texture resolution is modest, except for some characters. Many surfaces appear pale and washed out. Lighting in the game is good. Lens flare, bloom, guardrays, effects are all present and used, though they don't stand out as prominently as the last game, maybe due to the nature of the snowy, foggy environment of Arkham Origin. Dynamic lighting is present, but severely restrained to muzzle flashes only. Explosions and many fire effects don't cast any lighting on the surroundings at all. Shadows are soft and smooth, thanks to the use of DirectX 11. Dynamic shadows are completely absent. No flashlights or explosions or muzzle flashes cast any form of shadow. There is some self-shadowing techniques available for dense smoke. Some smoke even casts shadows on the objects around it, but most of it does not. They don't even seem to receive any shadows from the environment. They appear the same under shade as under light, like most games actually, except maybe for Battlefield 3 or 4. Level of detail range is short. Things materialize in and out of the world suddenly, even in indoor scenes. This is definitely a concession made for consoles. It hasn't been modified for the PC for mysterious reasons. The physics engine in the game is limited, as the case in all Batman games. Most objects are static and can't be influenced by the player's actions, except maybe for some walls. Particle effects are weak and unvaried. Some explosions and fire do not look as convincingly and appear to work at low resolution. The phenomenon is compounded by the lack of dynamic lighting. However, in some scenes they look satisfying, especially when combined with the smoke and fog effects that are strong looking, courtesy of PhysX library. Though obviously some concessions had to be made here too. Color banding can be observed on smoke when it starts vanishing. Those who will accelerate PhysX by the GPU will find that it gives more realism to many objects in the game, simulating Batman's cape, other clothes, small papers, snow blizzards, dust, smoke, and fog, and some particle effects. And in general, they appear very convincing and are a great addition to the graphics of a game that doesn't seem to be offering much at that front. Water in Arkham Origin is not very different from previous releases. It is flat, waveless, and offers little in the way of reflections, if at all. Reflections in the game are very limited. They do not include more than the reflection of light sources over glossy surfaces. Post-processing in the game is traditional, some motion blur and depth of field effects, and that's it. The game uses various types of anti-alliasing, MSAA, FXAA, and TXAA. The performance of the game is extremely good, even with the use of GPU PhysX. The game uses the GPU to its full capacity, and on contrary to Arkham City, does not suffer from any kind of micro-stuttering while traversing the city. The reason for that is dumping of the Games for Windows Live platform, which came with significant protection overhead that hammered performance and led to micro-stutters. Good news is the publisher abandoned the platform altogether, even for previous releases, which led to the elimination of stutters in these games too. Still, the game doesn't appear to be exploiting much of CPU resources, 3 cores max, and no awareness to hyper-threading technology. All in all, the graphics of Arkham Origin is much weaker than the previous release, Arkham City. It looks old and outdated, and lacks in many aspects like textures, tessellation, and dynamic lighting. If it weren't for the additional PhysX simulation and snow tessellation, the visuals would have looked way worse. And thanks to these additions, the game can look fantastic during certain scenes, especially when coupled with the right lighting and the use of TXAA, which adds a desirable smoothness filter to the game. It is such a shame that the same can't be said about the rest of the scenes in the game, and it's obvious that it's time for the Bat to get a new paint job before he is ready for the next release.